though, get to a lot of the core criticism that we are hearing, not just from Republicans, but from Democrats in Washington, from former Obama administration officials like that clip you just played a moment ago from General Petraeus, that are focused on why these final days have been handled so poorly. In these talking points, and we have heard from administration officials talking about how there was a plan, there were contingency plans in place, they knew this was a possibility. Well, the criticism has been, if that is the case, why are American embassy workers still trapped in Kabul at the airport? If that is the case, why is the airport overrun with Afghans clinging to an airplane as it is about to take off? That's the case, why are there still thousands of Afghans who are trying to apply for these special visas, who have indeed worked to assist the U.S. efforts, who now have no path out of the country because the commercial side of the airport is now controlled by the Taliban? That's the criticism that we have been hearing, that these talking points don't respond to. Now, we'll obviously be listening to hear whether or not the president tackles that criticism, but so far what we have mostly heard from him, including last week and in a statement put out on Saturday, was him defending his decision to pull out troops, saying that whether this was 1 year or 5 more years with the U.S. presence in Afghanistan, it wasn't going to solve the problem, that there wasn't a long-term military solution here, and essentially placing the blame on the Afghan people for not rising up and fighting and uniting and showing some leadership. That's what we have previously heard. So I'll be listening to see if there's any change in that messaging to defend the strategy over the last few days, as well as another thing that has been missing, which is really a message to the Afghan people, not just those who are eligible for a special visa, but those who are stuck in the country with no path out. What is America's message to them at this point?
Yeah. And Eugene, I will say, I was talking to an administration official this morning who basically made the point that the Biden administration doesn't get credit for the disaster that they might have avoided. That if troops remained in that country, and that if the Taliban engaged with them, you could have the U.S. involved in potentially a new civil war there, with the U.S. taking combat casualties, and then President Biden would be held to account for that.
No, absolutely, right? This is one of those things where they were damned if they did and damned if they didn't. That is something